At first, there's just a vibration. It's not physical, it's not pain, it's not a tingling, it's a call. A pulsation that rises from deep within and travels through the body as if something were knocking from another part of reality. And just at that moment, a shock hits Robert Monroe's shoulder. Not strong. Not violent. But impossible to explain. It doesn't belong to the visible world, yet it's there. From this point begins a story no one was truly prepared to hear. Not the scientists, not the common people, and not even those who, years later, would scrutinize his work through the stern lens of government agencies. Monroe isn't a visionary seeking magic. He's a practical man, accustomed to the concrete world, a radio director, immersed in technology and the precise mechanisms of sound waves. When these experiences began, he didn't turn to faith, he turned to study. And within a few years, he became a key figure for the CIA, not for what he believed, but for what he could repeat. Precisely. Methodically. In an interview, before an incredulous audience, he lets slip a sentence that splits the room in two. He says that beyond hope, beyond faith, beyond beliefs, there exists a practical certainty: consciousness survives physical death. Not as an idea. As an experience. And precisely because it's him who says it, a man respected in military circles and in unconventional research, that sentence weighs like a millstone. But Monroe isn't the only one crossing forbidden boundaries. There's John C. Lilly, a brilliant and exceedingly restless scientist. Lilly speaks of a line of light running through his spine, as if an axis of energy connected him to realities stacked on top of one another. He speaks of visible futures, multiple presents, layers of reality that unfold like overlapping pages. And what he sees terrifies him to the point of never wanting to return. Monroe, for his part, insists on one thing: the human mind can be conscious in multiple realities simultaneously. He says that almost every night it leaves the body and moves between these realms, as if consciousness were a receiver changing frequencies. One station is the physical world. The others resemble nothing we know. His fame grows not for his ideas, but for his ability to explain how to get there, step by step, without mysticism. It is from this vision that the Monroe Institute was born, not a spiritual temple, not an esoteric place, but a laboratory of consciousness. Ordinary people, scientists, engineers, CIA analysts, all sitting in the same room, all with the same goal: understanding. Today, the Monroe Institute is one of the most authoritative institutions in the field of consciousness exploration. Despite the caution of academic science, sometimes skeptical, sometimes intrigued, it remains a global reference point. And the fact that the CIA seriously studied his methods proves that Monroe was not treated as a mere dreamer. According to him, consciousness works like the phase of a wave. When we're perfectly in phase, we see physical reality. If we deviate slightly from that phase, something changes, we perceive something else. And if the phase slips too far, the internal landscape changes instantly. Forms become ambiguous, boundaries dissolve, and the mind begins to see things that no longer belong to the material world. Monroe says some people get trapped right there, in that unstable point. They live as if suspended between two realities. On one side, they perceive everyday physicality; on the other, they filter images, sounds, and presences that come from a totally different level. And in the attempt to reconcile it all, their consciousness becomes misaligned. It's like trying to see two worlds with a single pair of eyes: everything overlaps, everything becomes confused. To understand this phenomenon, Monroe begins collecting testimonies. Thousands. Every detail, every sensation, every transition. At first, they seem like scattered experiences, isolated stories. But the more she listens, the more a pattern emerges. Each person goes through similar states, recurring transitions, repeated thresholds. It is then that Monroe realizes that what she is observing is not chaos, but a structure. A map. From this intuition are born the focuses, precise levels of non-physical consciousness, like overlapping stages of an invisible theater that anyone can enter if they learn to shift their phase voluntarily. Focus 10, body asleep, mind awake. Focus 12, awareness begins to expand, as if the world around us were breathing. Focus 21, the boundary, the threshold between the physical and the non-physical. And then focus 27, a place described as stable, almost designed, an enigma that still puzzles those who study these experiences. Many participants speak of guiding presences. Not with words, but with a thought that seems to arise directly in their minds. Others feel as if they're being watched, as if an invisible part of the universe were watching to ensure they don't go too far. There's no fear. Only wonder. Monroe doesn't know what these presences are. She doesn't pretend to know. But she can't ignore their coherence: different people, different places, similar experiences, the same presences. It's precisely this consistency that captures the CIA's attention. They're looking for repeatable, measurable, exploitable methods. And they find them in hemisync, the audio technique that synchronizes the cerebral hemispheres through specific frequencies. The Gateway Report, which those familiar with this channel have already encountered, examines in detail the physics, psychology, and neurophysiology of these states. It's serious material, studied by professionals accustomed to rigorously deconstructing everything. During the sessions, agents report specific sensations: separation from the body, intense lucidity, heightened perceptions. It happens repeatedly, to multiple people, following the same steps. It's enough to draw more and more researchers to the Institute, drawn to a territory that traditional science both fears and desires. When Monroe understands that his experiences aren't isolated incidents, he begins to codify them. Deep relaxation. Brain synchronization. Appearance of vibrations. Slipping outside of physical perception. It's not magic, he repeats. It's a process. And anyone can learn it. Beyond that boundary, testimonies speak of stable environments, defined rules, non-physical architecture. Some describe empty spaces filled with presence. Some speak of subtle structures. Some encounter helpers, intelligent presences that seem to assist and observe. And even the most skeptical science cannot deny one fact: people who don't know each other, who come from different lives, describe the same things. This is why Monroe reaches a conclusion as simple as it is exciting: when the body shuts down, we change phase. Consciousness continues. It is not dependent on matter. The passage of death is not an interruption, it is a shift in frequency. And he adds something that still divides the world today: it's possible to learn to make that transition earlier. It's possible to explore those realities while still alive. For some, it's spirituality. For others, it's cutting-edge science. For still others, it's illusion. What is certain is that his work continues to be studied, respected, contested, and discussed. And it continues to attract researchers and the curious from around the world, because in these stories lies a question no one can ignore: how far can consciousness go when it ceases to be afraid? You've come this far and stayed until the end, reflecting and exploring this ocean of mystery and consciousness. Write in the comments, new frequency. You will ignite the community of special beings who populate the comments of this space of freedom. The creators of this video learn and grow more in the comments than anywhere else. The more people awaken, the more progress humanity as a whole will make, since we are connected to the universe and we are all one. A bow of gratitude to you. If this video touched you, I invite you to continue the journey with the next video you see in the overlay. You are the universe, we are the universe. Now you are part of us, of this new community of special beings who exchange and grow in the comments. Welcome, among us.